Welcome back to Chrono Trigger. I kind of rearranged my party a little bit because I want to make sure everyone has equal amounts of time in here before we get to Zeal.
Relatively equal amounts of time.
I mean, Magus kind of deserves it because, I mean, it's his mother, and his mother is a bitch, and she's the whole reason everything's happening in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, why not screw her over while we try to save the world?
I mean, do they explicitly say that Zeal is Magus' mother? They say that she's Shala's mom, but do they ever actually say that Shala is his sister? Or is it just heavily implied?
I'm pretty sure they explicitly mention that Shala is Magus' sister.
Oh, well, true, no, they do. They say Janice, and then you find out that Janice is actually Magus, so yes, they do.
Yep.
And this is one of the hardest bosses in the game, if you don't know what you're doing. This is the Giga Mutant, and he sucks if you're not prepared for him, because if I didn't have the right equipment right now, everyone would be poisoned, and that attack would probably do at least 100 damage, and it would suck.
Sounds about right.
He also can heal himself with his goddamn life-draining thing, but because... yeah, like that thing right there. But because my defense is so high... oh no, that drains MP. Never mind. It's still kind of annoying. But you can pretty much one-shot this guy. You use Dark Matter, and then Area Bomb, and he's dead.
Yep, that works.
That's why I have Magus. He kicks so much ass. And I completely underestimated just how powerful Robo's double and triple techs are. I'm sorry, Robo. You're probably the most overpowered character in this entire game next to Chrono.
And Isla.
Isla, in terms of physical power, no one's better than her. But in terms of magic power, I think Robo's got just a slight edge over Chrono. Mostly with his double techs. I mean, it makes sense for Robo and Luca's double techs to be, like, the best, considering, you know, it's Luca.
Yeah.
So she would design him to be that good. And thankfully, there's a save point right next to where that boss was, so I can just use a shelter again.
Yep.
And this is my last-ditch effort of... After that, there's one more boss before Zeal, and then we're done with the dungeon. So this is me deciding how do I want to rearrange my final party. Well, for now, I want to steal shit with Isla, so that's a plus. I mean, granted, it's only really helpful if you're doing New Game Plus, but hey, if you can start a new game with a whole bunch of stuff you get out of the Black Omen, so much the better.
Yeah, but most of it's not even needed until like the last half of maybe like the last third of the game, honestly, because you could just steamroll through everything through the first 2/3.
Well, you can steamroll the entire game on New Game Plus. The first like 6 bosses are gonna die in one hit from Chrono.
Yep.
With few exceptions, Hecarim might take a little bit because you might not have. You might not have the... No, you'll have the MP to use magic. What am I talking about? You can just Luminaire him to death. He'll die in like one hit.
Yep.
Assuming you're not going for an ending, which means you don't have to fight Hecarim again. And here's the last section of the Black Omen. It's just the goddamn elevator section. Because of course it is.
At least it's not the aliens.
No, it's worse. It's these assholes. These ruminators that can potentially make this fight go from 2 minutes to 5 minutes, depending on how they decide to fight you. Assholes. So like, please kill... and they have really high magic defense, so you can't even one-shot them with spells. Fuck me. My best... There we go.
See...
The best advice I can give is weaken down 2 of them so one of them keeps killing all of them by themselves. The only problem is, pretty sure when they do that, it also makes them stronger. I could be wrong about that, but I think it...
No, you're fine.
I'm not going to take that chance. Area bomb, fuck it. I'm pretty sure when they eat each other, it makes them physically stronger, too. So...
No, I think it's just like no matter what, their default attack always just one-shots whatever it hits, including themselves.
Fair enough. But this entire elevator is just a mook rush, which is really frustrating. Why? Why, Square? Why?
Why not?
Because we're already doing boss rushes. Do we really need a normal enemy boss? Do we really need, like, an enemy gauntlet going up an elevator?
They're just making sure you're on your game.
I guess, but still. Oh well, I can't really complain. After this, we're gonna go to the final boss.
Eventually.
If it's not today, we'll do it later this week. Because we should be able to finish this game by this week, because there's only 3 parts left. I wasn't expecting to do the finale today because it's, you know, really super long, but we can try.
Nah, I have to work.
I meant when you get back, we could probably do one more part, depending what time it is.
Nah, I'd rather just play some I Am Setsuna.
But you can play your not Chrono Trigger when we finish Nah, fuck it. We'll finish Chrono Trigger later this week.
Hey, it's not going anywhere.
It hasn't gone anywhere for 2.5 months since it's been sitting in Dropbox. Oh well, it gives us something to talk about with this boring-ass elevator. Because we're still not done. I think we still gotta fight one more enemy. Oh, no, we don't.
I mean, honestly, when has an elevator ever been fun?
Good point. But you can... oh, I was thinking of a different elevator. There is an elevator where if you go back, you can get an item. I don't think it's that one, though. If it is, I don't care. I want to get this in. I want to get this place done. I mean, I don't know. It's to be fair, this part is actually a lot more exciting than the last 2 parts, minus the elevator section, I think. Because really, the last 2, yay, gold earrings, even though they suck right now, because gold studs are better. Damn it, Luca. Kill things with your hammer. So what's your opinion on this dungeon?
I don't really have one on it.
I mean, I know you said you don't really remember much about this game, dungeon-wise, anymore, but from what you've seen of it, do you remember liking it, or do you think it's...
I thought it was okay, but since it's optional, it's like I didn't really pay it much mind. I mean, if this was required, then I'm like, fuck, why is this taking so long?
I don't understand why it's not required when they really point out, they're really
it's because the main threat
emphasize...
is Lavos itself. It was never really Zeal, even though she kind of fucks everyone over by creating the Black Omen in the first place.
Well, but it's like, she still is a threat because she's reviving Lavos earlier than intended.
Nah, because if that were the case, then she would have definitely revived him way before 1999. Which happens anyway, so, like, she waits it out anyway.
Well, actually, all this is Magus' fault, because he's the one that told... He's the one masquerading as the prophet and told Zeal about Lavos in the first place.
But then that's technically our fault, because we tried interfering with his summoning of Lavos, which messed up the entire thing and just created a portal that sent everyone else back to 65 million BC and sent him back to 12,000.
Yeah. But if we hadn't done that, he would have summoned Lavos earlier, and then everyone in 600 AD would have died.
No, because I think it's implied that when he tried summoning Lavos, maybe he succeeded, but then he was, he was trying to freaking kill Lavos. So then Lavos was like, nah, none of that, and then he just kills Magus, and then that's how the war ended.
Yes, but if the war ended with Lavos killing Magus, then Lavos would have just destroyed the world after that.
Maybe he just went back to sleep and was like, nah, I can wait another, 1,399 years.
Maybe. I don't know. They never get a chance to explain that because we fuck it up. Why can't I run past you guys?
Because this game isn't random encounters.
I mean, it kind of is, and it kind of isn't.
No, I mean, like, you could just see all the enemies as they're in there, but they're never random. They're always, like, placed in specific spots. It's just a matter of whether or not the game's going to let you run past them or not.
Yeah.
And that's just with specific ones either way.
Yeah. Well, I can say this. I think this is the most well-aged RPG I've ever played in my life. For a game that came out in 1995, to still be relevant, like, 16 years later, or, like, 21 years later, it's kind of, like, this game's amazing. When you can go back to a Super Nintendo game 20 years later and it's just as good as the first time you play it, that's the mark of a good game.
Yep.
As much as I love, like, well, it's a good example I could use. Like, say Tales of Symphonia 1. As much as I love that game, because of all the advancements the Tales series has had up to this point, it's really archaic. I can agree, it's really archaic going back to Symphonia 1.
It's still playable, but it's very archaic compared to, like, later games in the series that improve upon the battle system way too much.
It's not even just the lack of free run that gets to me. It's just like there's certain mechanics in Symphonia 1 that just don't work anymore in newer games.
Yeah, I can't really think of any off the top of my head, though. I'm trying to think of that.
Mostly like the unison attacks are kind of pointless.
They were fun, though. It really did give off a Chrono
They're...
Trigger vibe, in that, like, when you used certain attacks during the unison attack, then they would combine.
They're fun. I think the biggest problem I have with the first game is how underutilized some of the characters are.
Yeah.
I still kind of feel that Regal and Presea's story arc should have been done a lot better than it was.
I mean, they were really just there because, like, oh, look, now we're in Tetheala. Let's show off characters from that freaking side of the world, from the
I mean,
two
I'll
worlds.
get, like, Presea has some merit, but Regal is, like, literally just there for the sake of being there.
He's there because, I don't know.
Like, he has connections to Presea, which is fine, and then he's got his rivalry with Varley, which lasts a whole 2 hours, and then it's done.
Yeah.
You don't even fight Varley. He's just kind of there, and then he dies off screen somewhere.
Yeah.
That's like, come on, Namco. Like, give Regal something. That's why we made fun of him in Symphonia 2, because, like, hey, he has character development in a game that should have given him character development 5 years ago.
Yeah, not to mention, like, he is literally the party's get out of jail free card, in that he busts them out of jail by finally using his hands, and then after that...
He did that in the first game. He did that in the first game, too.
No, I meant, that's what I was talking about in the first game. He was literally their get out of jail free card. They couldn't get out of jail otherwise.
Good point. Yeah. I love Symphonia 1, but it really had some pacing issues that needed to be fixed. There's also plot points that are just kind of dropped out of nowhere and never addressed again.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it a bad game. I still love it. It just, when you replay it like 6 times and you start noticing all this, you're like, yeah, this game has problems. And Chrono Trigger has problems too. They're just, any problems that it has are instantly negated by how well everything else is played out.
Yeah. I can't even really think of anything that Chrono Trigger has in terms of problems. Like, I think the only thing I would have problem with Chrono Trigger is, like I mentioned earlier, how the battles aren't random, which is good. But at the same time, a lot of battles are kind of forced. Like, you want to run past the enemies, but then as soon as you pass a certain point, they notice you anyway, and then you have to fight them.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was gonna say. While the game does pace itself really well by giving you forced battles to make sure you're leveled enough, sometimes those forced battles go on way too long. Looks at Magus's castle.
Yeah.
God fucking damn it! That like I love Magus's castle, but they could have cut an entire. They could have cut like an. I think that dungeon goes a room too long.
I guess.
Mostly, like at the very beginning, where you have to walk all the way around both rooms just to get Ozzy to show up. Like, you didn't have to go to both of those rooms to get Ozzy to show up and start the actual dungeon. You could have just shown up, and done that whole scene with Ozzy, and then you could have done the 2 side doors.
Yeah. But I think that was just there to really build up the atmosphere of that particular section, because remember, like, when you're going through all that, like, there's, like, no music. There's nothing playing.
True. And it's supposed to set up, like, when you go into each room, it triggers the events for Flea and Slash to show up. I get that. It just feels like it could have been done a little bit better, because it makes... I don't know. It was good. It just feels like it could have gone a little bit faster. And, let's see...
Terra Mutant.
Oh, yeah. That's the other thing, too. Like, all the major bosses are all the same kind of enemy, too. That's another... Like, that's something, too. Like, I think the Black Omen could have used better mini-bosses. Like, I'm okay with the mutant, like, but it should have only been the one Terror Mutant. I shouldn't have had to fight the same mini-boss 3 times in the same dungeon.
Well, technically, it wasn't the one we fought before, the Giga Mutant?
Yeah, but it's essentially the same boss. The only difference is, like, this guy heals himself by drinking his own HP. I don't know how that works. But like, that's one mark against the Black Omen that I'll give. Like, do I really have to fight the same mini boss 3 times in a row?
Yes.
I mean, going through the entire dungeon twice is my choice, so I'm not gonna knock it for that. But, and I don't mind having 3 mini bosses between Zeal, but I would have liked the mini bosses to at least look different. Because this is literally the exact same boss that I just fought earlier.
Good job, Isla.
I forgot this form. I forgot the lower half has, like, that thing. Like, that's the new thing that it does. Like, it does its one hit. Like, it drains your HP down to 1, but then it dies, so what was the point?
To show not to fuck with it.
But that's my point. It kind of wastes... Like, you could have cut that battle out and it wouldn't have changed anything. I get that it's there as, like, grinding. Like, I know the mini-bosses are all grinding, technically, but it's like, if you're going through here, you should feel that you're ready enough for it anyway. And if you die, it's your own damn fault.
I guess.
Again, I don't want to sound like I hate the Black Omen. I don't. It just... And I know it's the final dungeon, so that's why it's long. It just feels a little too long for this game, because most of the other like we've had long dungeons in this game before, but most of them only lasted about 2 parts. This one was 4 parts, which is kind of ridiculous.
Right.
But oh well. Yay, we can get another rock. And another Mega Elixir. Again, you should never die. The game gives you like 7 Mega Elixirs.
Which, honestly, you probably only really need about 3 or 4 of those. Especially if you want to get through the final boss comfortably.
It depends on how you decide to fight Lavos. If you're just going to go in and go like, I'm just going to spam all my high-level text, then yes, get Mega Elixirs. That's a viable option. It's like Luminaire, Dark Matter, Flare, or Shock. Don't use Frog Squash. That's not going to work very well on Lavos. Unless
you already have Frog,
really...
like, at the very lowest health it possibly can have.
Yeah. Poor Frog. His best move is completely dependent on if he's dying.
I want to say
well.
You could kind of consider it a desperation attack of sorts.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, Magus, you've had enough. I'll put you back in when we go fight Zeal. You deserve to kick her ass.
I'll tell you when I've had enough.
I'll let you kill Zeal, okay?
Now I'm just imagining Magus drunk.
Like, God damn it, not this shit again. No, but we got one more boss to go before we fight Zeal, and it's another goddamn Lavos spawn.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Fuck.
Fresh from the future.
Ugh. I mean, I guess this is supposed to be like, okay, this is where the Lavos spawns were coming from.
Well, no, I think, like, what it was implying with that little time gate that showed up that made it spawn in is that, like, Zeal probably, like, summoned a time gate with Lavos' power to bring in a Lavos spawn from the future.
True. But here's the big question. Is Zeal using Lavos' power, or is Lavos using Zeal?
Well, honestly, it's obvious that Lavos is using Zeal, but let's let Zeal think she's using Lavos.
Well, she's only using him as a means of gaining immortality. You can charm a safe helm, but be careful with attacking the. This is the problem. Attacking the shell is a bad idea. Ow.
Like even if you're stealing from it, it will always counterattack with a really hard hitting attack.
Yes. But I got it for the safe helm, which is one of the best armors in the game. Which, in all honesty, really doesn't matter that much. But oh well. Flame kick! Love this move. Boom!
Just set its face on fire.
And then there's Uzi Punch.
Which does...
Yeah, this
so it does like
easy.
a ton more damage too because... Oh god, why did you attack the shell?
Oh shit, I targeted the shell!
Why would you do that?
I didn't notice where it was... Ow!
And now his
my own
attack,
fault.
his HP last number is at 0, so he ain't gonna do shit.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, I got Blaze Kick, that should finish him off. He should have died, I just didn't pay attention to where the cursor was. That was entirely my fault. Ugh.
And he's still not dead. Well, at least you're healing it up, so that way you could actually do damage with Robo.
He would have been dead if I actually targeted the head with Uzi Punch like I was supposed to. That was entirely my fault. It's like, oh, well, fuck it, I'll heal again.
Right, that doesn't even really do that much damage anymore. Nothing here does that much damage anymore.
There.
Could have done more if you were a 9.
Shut up! I already am kicking myself for accidentally hitting the shell there, but he's dead. That battle could have been over a minute and a half sooner had I paid attention to where that cursor was. Oh well.
You're just really trigger happy with getting off that other Uzi Punch.
It was more, I think I just wasn't, like maybe I had like glanced off screen for a second and I just instinctively tapped X at the wrong time and then I noticed it and I was like, ah, shit.
You know what would have made a great way of showing off that this really is like the final dungeon of sorts? If like the lava spawn were just outright regular enemies that you always had to keep facing.
Oh, that would be that would suck.
Well, it's not like they're that hard to deal with. Just don't attack the shell.
No,
That's
but it
it.
would be no, but it would be annoying.
But think of all the safe helms you could loot.
You don't need safe helms. I mean, well, no, that's not true. You kind of do. Because you don't want to go fighting Lavos with a character that can get confused. Trust me, you do not want that fucking happening. Like, you go in there, Chrono gets confused, you may as well restart the battle because you are fucked.
Could you imagine Chrono just using Confuse on on one of your party members, just outright killing them?
It can happen, that's the problem.
That's the scary part. He'll nuke the whole party with Luminaire. Nah, I don't think he can.
Alright. So,
actually, I think when they're inflicted with chaos, they can't even do any text. I can't remember.
No, they can't. They just target whoever the fuck they feel like targeting.
With a normal attack. Which may or may not even hit.
I mean, if it hits, it's gonna hurt like a son of a bitch. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And here's where I'm just deciding, do I still have tabs? I have 13 goddamn power tabs. Fuck it. I'm getting close to the end of the game. I don't plan on doing a New Game Plus run. Let's just use up all this shit.
You still have 13 power tabs to use. Are you thinking?
I know. I'm thinking. I'm deciding on who I want to use the power tabs on.
Chrono, get him to 98.
Is 98 the max? I don't even remember.
No, the max is 99, which turns into double stars.
Yeah.
But he would be close. He would just need one more power tab, and then he'd be like maxed out.
Just one level away. He might just be one specific level away from maxing out his attack anyway, so it really doesn't matter. So this is me thinking, okay, how am I gonna go through with this? Is this the team I want to deal with when I go fight Zeal? Because she's up there. As soon as we go through this hallway, we're gonna have one more save point right outside the room where Zeal is waiting. So, and I've already pretty much predetermined that Magus is going to be in my final party, so...
Just for the sake of poetic justice.
Chrono, get in here. Wait, why am I thinking Robo? Maybe, there might be one more thing before... No, there's not another boss. The next boss is going to be Zeal, but I'm trying to remember what the next part up is. I think this hallway... Sorry for the delay here. I think this hallway is the last hallway before Zeal, which is why I'm deciding what I want my team to be. Ayla, get in there. And... I know I put Magus in my final party, so don't worry. Sorry about the delay again. I think it's because I was thinking this was the final door. And I was like, wait, no. There's still this one more... This is the final room! We gotta do one more panel fight before we go fight Zeal, which... Yeah, you can charm more speed tabs. And logic has gone silent because there's not much to talk about.
Yeah, I was just like, what's going on?
Sorry. That was my fault. I wasted about 2 minutes deciding what my final team was going to be, because I figured I knew I was going to stop soon anyway. I just forgot that there was this... I forgot that there were these panels right before the door.
You mean to tell me you could have cut out those last 2 minutes?
No, it was more I could have done this first and then had my party rearranging be the last 2 minutes of the goddamn video. I completely forgot that there was a battle right before the door.
Yeah, but you could have cut out all those 2 minutes of you maneuvering all those menus.
Get over it. It's the last part before the end of the game. I think you can cut me some slack.
There's still 2 more parts after this.
Shut up! The next part is literally a boss rush. There's going to be nothing but 3 bosses in a row. 4, actually.
More like 12.
If you count the final boss being a boss rush in itself. But yes, the next part's going to be nothing but boss battles. And then the final part's going to be the final boss. And then we're going to be done. And then Logic will never have to do Let's Plays ever again.
Oh no, I already stopped doing Let's Plays.
Well, normal Let's Plays or co-comment... Well, he can do more co-commentaries other than just this, goddammit. Maybe he'll break his vow of not doing LPs when we finally get to the frickin' Trials and Tribulations, said no one ever.
No, we can still do that. I'm just not gonna make it a Let's Play.
It's
not even a Let's Play, it's a commentary.
I know, no, that's what I'm like. We'll still do that, but I'm not gonna be the one that records it this time. Unless you really want to record it.
At this point I can take it or leave it.
We still gotta finish Justice for All. God, that LP should have been done 2 years ago. Ugh. Nobody's fault but ours. Scheduling. We may finish that someday. Depends on if we actually get around to fucking doing it or not. Oh yeah, the door itself is also a panel. You done? Thank God.
Here's an extra 4,000 experience.
Ugh, there we go. Final room, final save point. Once we go through that next door, we're going to be fighting Zeal. And then we're going to...
God damn it.
Frickin' button. Frickin' buttons. God damn it. 2 more parts to go, people. If logic didn't have work, we'd get the next part done. But, oh well.
Unfortunately, I do, and it takes up most of my time.
We can always try tomorrow, assuming you don't have work at the same time tomorrow, too, which you probably do.
I think I might. I'm not sure.
Only 2 parts left. We'll get it done. I swear, even if I have to somehow forcibly tie Logic down in front of his laptop so we finish this shit.
Joke's on you, I have a desktop, and you live about 2 time zones away from me.
Shut up. I thought you had a laptop.
I did, but now I have a desktop, and it's way better.
Oh. Anyway. Next time, the penultimate finale, where we go fight Zeal. And then we're gonna fight Lavos. 2 parts to go.
Meanwhile, I'm gonna go fight my backlog.
This counts as a backlog, damn it.